What's up, guys? Back with here with another podcast, and today, alright.
So today, we got much of the same stuff. We're gonna predict the NBA semifinal, NHL
Semifinals, yes.
yeah. And then we'll also bring Thunder Slacket in here for our special guest. He's gonna analyze some of the basketball and maybe some of the hockey. And then we're also talking about sports injuries today as our main topic that we researched. Let's go ahead and go with Cavs versus the Celtics. Cavs, great team. Celtics also a great team.
They are a great team. They've definitely improved because they don't have Kyrie Irving, and that he was their main star. Their coach has done a great job, and their role players have definitely stepped up. I think Boston will give the Cavs a hard time this series, but I think the Cavs will win 6 games.
6 games. I think much of the same stuff. Celtics gave Cavs a hard time all year long, but they have LeBron. They have all that newer players that they didn't have earlier in the year when they played them, and now Al Horford had to step up. We're just going to see how that plays out with no Kyrie. But predictions, I say Celtics in 6.
Really?
Yeah. As much as I hate to say it, I would love to see the Cavs win, but I think Celtics got it.
Rockets versus Warriors. This is the Western Conference Finals that everyone predicted. Everyone thought it was going to be the Rockets were going to blow out the Warriors because the Rockets won the regular season series 2-1. I feel like the Warriors, with their depth and what Kevin Durant's done in the playoffs, I feel like the Warriors are going to win in 7 games.
All right, and for me, obviously, I see this was pretty obvious this is going to happen. 1 and 2 ranking teams in the West all year long. They kept going back and forth. Rockets had the edge at one point, but then Warriors got it back. In the series, like Jackson said, Rockets won. So I feel like the Rockets know how to play the Warriors a lot better. So I'm going to say Rockets at 7.
Now on to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Tampa Bay Lightning and the Washington Capitals. What are your thoughts on this series?
No, I don't really know a whole lot about hockey, but I know Washington Capitals is a very talented team, and I could see them easily winning against the Lightning, going to the Stanley Cup. Yeah, I'm going to say 5 or 6.
So I personally want Tampa Bay to win this series because the Capitals took out my Blue Jackets in the first round after the Blue Jackets were up 2-0, and the Capitals just came back and won 4 games in a row, and I'm still mad about that. But the Capitals, they're a very good team. They just beat the Pittsburgh Penguins with the 2 straight Stanley Cup Finals, and the Lightning just beat the 1 seed Bruins, which is a big upset in people's minds. But I feel like the Lightning are going to win this in 7 games. Las Vegas Golden Knights versus the Winnipeg Jets.
Now, we can all agree here, this is a great matchup. Golden Knights, the expansion team for the 2017-18 season, 1-year team already down to the semifinals, and the Winnipeg Jets knocking off the Predators in Game 7, you said?
Game 7 yesterday, they just won, and the Predators were the favorites to win the Stanley Cup this year. They led the NHL in total goals scored. This series, I feel like the Vegas Golden Knights, they're an expansion team. They've never been to the playoffs before, but it was a draft. It wasn't like sign a bunch of rookies. Like they got experienced players, experienced linemen and goalies. But I feel like the Winnipeg Jets, they've been through so much. This is their first conference finals in their team's history. So both teams have not a lot of experience here. But I believe the Winnipeg Jets are going to win in 6 games.
I think Golden Knights are a very good team. They made it this far in their first year, but I'm going to have to agree with Jackson. Winnipeg Jets just have a better experience playing an older team. Winnipeg Jets in 6 games. I have a few questions for you so we can analyze. We got NBA playoffs. I know you know a lot of basketball, so let's see what you have to say.
So my prediction, in the West we have the Rockets, the 1 seed, versus the Warriors, the 2 seed. And in my opinion, it would be a big upset if the Rockets beat the Warriors, but I believe the Warriors will beat the Rockets in 6 games. We have Boston, which is I believe the 2 seed, and the Cavs, which is the 4 seed. And the Celtics possibly have a coach that's going to win Coach of the Year, Brad Stevens. He's a great coach. He makes players great. And then we have LeBron James, the GOAT. And I feel like even though they're 4 seed, they'll win in 5 games.
Okay. And how do you see the Celtics overcoming with no Kyrie? Do you think they can still do it?
I feel like they're young. they're young, they have a lot of energy. I feel like with that, they can play long periods of time, but I feel like the Cavs experience will overcome that. Winnipeg Jets versus the Vegas Golden Knights is not the
That's a new expansion team. Yeah.
So, I have the Golden Knights winning the whole thing.
Really?
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very confident on that because I don't know any better. Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Washington Capitals, and they're both 1 seeds, so I think I'm gonna have to go with the Washington Capitals because they're more in a colder place than Tampa Bay. So I'm gonna have to go with that for my.
See,
Alright.
I didn't know anything, so I'm like, I like the Capitals name better, so I picked them. I honestly don't know. And she goes subscribe to Thunder Slacket. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast.
We're gonna talk about injuries in sports. And
We have a bunch of stats here. School athletes account for an estimated 2 million injuries and 500,000 doctor visits, 30,000 hospitalizations each year.
more than 3.5 million kids under the age of 14 receive medical treatment for sports injuries each year. And I was one of those 4.5 this year. Broke my foot playing basketball.
Right. I mean, if you put these numbers into perspective, it's a big population of so many people getting hurt just from sports.
And children ages 5 to 14 account for nearly 40% of all the sports-related injuries treated in hospitals. Although 62% of organized sports-related injuries occur during practice, 1/3 of parents do not have their children take the same safety precautions at practice as they would during a game. Well, that's how they happen because they don't have any of their equipment on during practice.
Right. And people say, have you ever heard the saying, practice like you play? It's nobody's gonna let up in practice. Like, I can account for that. I'm sure Jacksen can account for that. It's the same thing in a game as it is against practice. Like yesterday, like 6-foot 8th grader, back of the head, knocked me on the ground for a good 3 minutes or so. Totally just didn't know where I am. So back hurts, neck hurts. Precautions have to be taken during practice and during games.
Agreed.